Hello folks, me again, day 8. Sat by a field by the side of the road. That's been pretty much my path today. That and a disused railway line, which has been quite nice to walk on. The road is a bit tough. The shins are starting to hurt a little bit, but I've got my poles and all's good. And I'm just sat for a moment, just having a little rest. It's quite a short day today. Yesterday that was supposed to be 41. Turns out that the map on my thing was wrong. It was only about 26, which was a bit of a result. I then spent about 4 or 5k walking around the town trying to find somewhere to stay. There was a hostel that was supposed to be there that wasn't there, and then there was a hotel went down there, and then you had to go to a different hotel to check in. But I managed to phone up and reserve and do all that in Spanish. I also managed to ask directions and understand what they were on about and things. So that was really good. And then managed to get into my lovely little room, which cost €29. And went and saw a bit of the Easter stuff last night in Benavente. I met one guy this morning who was coming out of the hostel who was going the other way, and he was the only one in the municipal hostel last night, which cost €4. So you can do this really, really cheaply. I needed some Wi-Fi yesterday. I'm doing a training course about suicide prevention training, so I had a 2.5-hour training session yesterday. So I needed to get to Wi-Fi and not be in the albergue. But tonight, hopefully, in Elija del Infantado, the albergue is open. You can't reserve, but I haven't seen anybody today. Everybody appears to be going to Santiago on the Camino Sanabres. So this is pretty solitary route at the minute, but I'll find out when I get there. And I've been listening to a book the last couple of days, which was recommended through this course I'm doing. It's a book by Pete Walker called Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving. And I started reading it listening to it on Audible, because it was recommended on this course. And it's like, when you just have light bulbs going off left, right and centre. It's been amazing to listen to. And today it just carries on. I'm kind of going through second part of some of it, and I'm going to get it so I can look at it a bit more deeply. It's the one of the first things he started talking about was the 4 F's. So the trauma types, he calls them. So I've heard a lot of fight, flight, and freeze, and I've been hearing more recently about fawn as well. But seeing where I fit into those categories and what my main type is and what my subtype is some work I really want to do. He was talking yesterday about the flight and about the person that just can't stop doing. And that just keeps doing, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's me. But also, about kind of what that's running away from, really. And it opened up something for me yesterday, and not something that I haven't known before, but it when something hits you in a different way, and you think, oh yeah, and also the fawn, that kind of codependent, people pleasing type of side, and I've sort of known about the codependence, but not really seen where it fits in. And his explanation of these 4 F's is just really helping me a hell of a lot. And the sort of the positive and negative sides of them, and where the balance sits and things like that as well. Amazing book. And then today he's been talking about the inner critic and the outer critic, and I'm quite familiar with my inner critic. The voice in my head has changed somewhat, but how that can then be externalized. He was talking about road rage a bit ago, and this kind of rage against others, and And you know, that shame is just blaming yourself, and that's that inner critic voice that comes in and then becomes a natural part of us, and can be from, you know, from those voices that we hear around us, from our caregivers and things like that, or from, you know, wherever they've come from, but it becomes a real big part of us. And how we can then try and externalize that, you know. So I'll just blame somebody else instead. And, you know, and he was talking about micromanaging people and all this sort of stuff. And I was just like, you know, when you're just kind of like, wow, yeah. And you just see yourself more and more. So, yeah, it's a book I would highly recommend, From Surviving to Thriving, Complex PTSD, Pete Walker. He's got a website as well, which has got some really interesting resources on it. So if you're after something to read, then take a look, or have a listen, or whatever. So it's been good to kind of have that to listen to, but then to have time for it to kind of land as well. One thing I know I do with self-help books, which is really funny, is I'll get to the point where you've got to do something and then stop. I want to read it, I want you to just tell me what's going to make me better, and that's it. I don't actually want to do the work, really. This one seems to be hitting me in a little bit of a different way, so I've done a little bit of writing around it already, and hopefully we'll do some more. But again, which part of me is that? The part of me that wants to get better but doesn't actually want to do the work? Or is it about want? It's maybe that can't do that work yet, or and usually there's fear in there somewhere. So yeah, more reflections today. Day 8 of the Camino. I don't know, feels like something shifted a bit. So I'm going to get back to my cheese and ham butty and pondering life, death, the universe, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, inner critics, outer critics. Or just watch the butterflies and enjoy the sun. Is that my Sahara hat? It's cool, isn't it? I look so English. Yeah, take care everyone. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Lots of love. Bye.